Hello, I am Lara Daly, and welcome to Australian Story. Today we will meet Major General Neville Reginald House, a World War I veteran, or should I say, hero. Welcome to Australian Story, Major General House, and thank you for your time today. Today I will be asking you some questions about your experiences before, during, and after World War I. Tell me about your early life and your many medical achievements before the war. I was born on the 26th of October in the United Kingdom, England, Somerset, Still Guernsey, 1863. I am the second son of Alfred House, and I was educated at the Fullard House School, located in Taunton, England. I studied medicine at London Hospital and passed my residential surgical certificate on the 17th of April, 1884. Before immigrating to Australia, I became a member of the Royal College of Surgeons in 1886, and then in 1887 I became a licentiate of the Royal College of Practitioners. In 1889, I then immigrated to Australia and became a doctor at the Manning River Hospital in Taree, New South Wales, although I then returned to England for professional development, and I was admitted to the Royal College of Surgeons. I then returned to Taree again in 1898 and moved to the lovely town of Orange, New South Wales in the year of 1899. I purchased Dr. Van Sommerman's practice in Orange. I was twice elected mayor of Orange and thoroughly enjoyed the role. In January 1900, I was commissioned as a lieutenant in the New South Wales Army Corps and sailed to South Africa to fight in the Boer War, where I won the Victoria Cross. What were your actions that resulted in you receiving the highest award for bravery in acts of wartime, the Victoria Cross, and how did this make you feel? On the 24th of July 1900, in Vredefort, South Africa, De Wet opened fire when I was serving in the Boer War. I sighted a young trumpeter that was amongst the first to fall. Without hesitation, I raced towards the trumpeter on horseback through a hail of bullets. The Boer Moses soon sighted their target, and my horse was shot dead from underneath me. I then continued on foot, collecting my medical bag, and hurried towards the trumpeter. I dressed these wounds on the battlefield, with bullets and soldiers falling around me. I picked the trumpeter up, positioned him over my shoulder, and rushed for safety. For those actions, I was awarded the Victoria Cross, the highest military award for acts of bravery in war. Receiving this award made me feel that I had successfully served my country. To me, receiving the Victoria Cross, or any military award, it isn't about the pride or the medal itself, but the feeling that you have performed an act of bravery in order to honour your country. I received my Victoria Cross on the 4th of June 1901, and I was the first ever Australian to be awarded the Victoria Cross. Being the first Australian recipient of the Victoria Cross, I'd assume you have a great knowledge on the award itself. Could you tell me about the history of the Victoria Cross? Yes, I indeed have quite a great knowledge on the creation and history of the Victoria Cross medal. The Victoria Cross was initially formed by Queen Victoria in 1856 and is awarded for acts of bravery in time of war. Any serving member of the armed forces is a possible recipient of this award. 9 Victoria Crosses were awarded at Gallipoli in World War I, 7 of those from the Battle of Lone Pine. Other gallantry awards are made in a die, yet the medal of the Victoria Cross is carved due to the metal it is made from. This medal is created from the melted bronze from the 2 cannons seized from the Russians during the Crimean War. In my opinion, this is an amazing process that makes the Victoria Cross a unique and remarkable medal. Each Victoria Cross has a lion positioned upon the crown of St. Edward and a banner draped below, inscribed with For Valour. The red ribbon passes through a bar above the cross, decorated with laurel leaves. The recipient's name and regiment is engraved on the opposite side of the bar, whereas the date of the recipient's act of bravery is engraved in the centre of the opposite side of the medal. What was your role and involvement in World War I? On the 14th of August, 1914, I was appointed the role of Principal Medical Officer in the Australian Naval and Military Expeditionary Force, with the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. I was Mayor of Orange at the time and instantly volunteered for service. At 7:30 a.m. on the 25th of April, I landed at Howe Spit with the rest of my 1st Division. Throughout the opening days of the campaign, the disgraceful medical and organizational arrangements became apparent. Slightly injured men were given beds aboard hospital ships, while seriously injured men were put onto boats with minimal medical amenities. The beach was crowded with wounded men. This memory brings tears to my eyes, thinking of all the families that lost beloved relatives. I ignored the shelling and sniper fire and concentrated on my aim to evacuate all the wounded men from the beach. In 2 days, 1,200 injured men were sent off. In June 1915, I was awarded the Companion of the Order of Bath for my efforts evacuating and treating soldiers from the Gallipoli landing. When and how did you discover the sanitation issues at Gallipoli? Did you consider this to be a major problem? The sanitation issues at Gallipoli were apparent upon arrival at Hull Spit. Yet when I returned to Gallipoli after accompanying Major General W.T. Bridges' body to Egypt after his death, I really experienced the poor sanitation issues at Gallipoli. After the Turkish counterattack on the 19th of May, 1915, I assisted supervision of the disposal of the soldier corpses during a truce on the 24th of May 1915. It was then when I became aware of the dangers of the sanitation in Gallipoli, as on the 3rd of July I was evacuated to Egypt after I became ill with dysentery. The circumstances in Gallipoli were appalling, resulting in many soldiers, including myself, suffering from diseases or conditions like trench fever, influenza, dysentery, malaria, and shell shock, just to name a few. More soldiers died from sanitary diseases than gunshot wounds or gas attacks. The poor sanitation in Gallipoli caused many deaths and diseases, and therefore, in my opinion, was a major issue. What changes or mistakes did you make when you were appointed the Director of Medical Services? I officially took over the position of Director of Medical Services, or DMS-AIF, on the 22nd of November 1915. I believe I had a great influence on the AIF medical services. One of my first changes was the promotion of all medical officers that had served in the AIF as captains for 12 or more months to major. In 1916, there was a large expansion of the AIF, and more medical staff were required for 3 new divisions, plus more field ambulances were created from the existing ones. My experiences at New Guinea and Gallipoli have influenced my thoughts on the value of dentists. I therefore reorganized the dental corps in Egypt, creating 4 men dental units, 1 for each field ambulance. I moved medical staff to the headquarters of the AIF at Horse Ferry Road, London in April 1916. I managed all of the medical services of the AIF, yet I was mainly focused on the Western Front. This I would consider one of my mistakes, as the lack of attention to other areas of war did occasionally cause harm. When the German offensive began, I was forced to take action on the strengthening of the medical institutions in France. I attached 6 surgical teams to 3 Australian general hospitals, each containing 2 orderlies, an anaesthetist, a surgeon, and a theatre sister. How did you communicate with your family at home in different regiments in World War I? In World War I, telephones, telegraphs, pigeons, dogs, and human runners were used to communicate between regiments. The telephone and telegraphs was the favoured means of communication during World War I. Although telegraphs were good for sending messages over long distances, the landlines were very unreliable. Pigeons were also used to carry messages between regiments. The pigeons would always return to where the message was sent from. Dogs were required to communicate between regiments when the circumstances were too dangerous for human runners. Around 20,000 dogs were involved in World War I, many strays from the pounds and donated family pets. Human runners, on the other hand, were considered to have one of the most dangerous roles in World War I. Runners constantly had to run through open fire, yet by the time they arrived at their destination, the message was usually out of date or inaccurate. Not only was communication important between regiments, yet communication between soldiers and families was vital to a soldier's morale. I found receiving and writing messages provided me with comfort and distracted me from the horrors of World War I. Letters took about 2 days to arrive at their destination, and newspapers were often delivered to the trenches. Most letters were censored for content that gave away British Army secrets or would upset family at home. What was the diet of the average soldier in World War I? The diet of soldiers in World War I was not what I would call pleasant or gourmet, yet was sustenance to keep us from starvation. To recruit more soldiers, the propaganda broadcast stated that the British soldiers were enjoying 2 hot meals every day, which caused great uproar, as this was obviously a lie. The diet included McConaughey's meat stew and hard biscuits. McConaughey's meat stew was mostly made out of fat and unrecognizable chunks of meat in gravy, and many, including myself, loathed it. McConaughey's meat stew, as well as the lack of fresh fruit and vegetables, was commonly responsible for many soldiers suffering from illness. McConaughey's, when served hot, is inedible, yet when eaten cold is absolutely revolting. Thus, it was all we had. Additionally, we were given biscuits made from salt, flour, and water. These biscuits were so hard they were capable of cracking teeth when not saturated in tea or water. These biscuits were created by the world's largest biscuit manufacturers in 1914, Huntley and Parmers, as per the government contract. Tea was also an important ration that provided me with comfort and warmth. Occasionally, we would also receive bacon, which we were to cook ourselves. Towards the end of 1916, flour was scarce, so bread was made from dried potatoes, pulverized straw, oats, and barley. What were the most common injuries you came across in your time as an army medic? A range of different cases I came across as an army medic, yet the most common would be gunshot wounds, illnesses, shell shock, and even malingering. New weapons, like machine guns, caused major damage to soldiers and presented us medics with many new challenges. Sadly, in World War I, there were thousands of cases of soldiers having limbs amputated due to the severity of their injuries, yet this saved lives. Common illnesses I came across as a medic in World War I include trench foot and trench fever. Trench foot was caused when soldiers stood in the mud and water day in, day out. In some cases, I have seen the soldiers' sock growing onto their feet, whereas in other cases the trench foot was so severe the foot was amputated. Trench fever, on the other hand, was carried by body lice in the trenches. Trench fever caused headaches, high fever, aching muscles, and sores all over a soldier's skin, with a recovery time of around 12 weeks. Malingering was yet another common occurrence amongst soldiers in World War I. Malingering is when a soldier injures themselves or fakes an illness so they would not have to continue fighting in the war. Suspicious sicknesses and injuries include shell shock and injuries on the left hand or feet. During my career as a medic, I also came across many soldiers suffering from shell shock. Shell shock is caused from the damage to the nerves from the soldiers being exposed to an extensive amount of bombing and explosions. The British Army dealt with 80,000 cases of shell shock throughout World War I. Shell shock, as I stated earlier, was seen to be an act of malingering or weakness during World War I, yet in my opinion, this is not the case. After the war, did you continue with your medical and political careers? If so, what were your main roles in these areas? Yes, I indeed did continue with my political and medical careers post-World War I. My father, Alfred House, was a surgeon himself, and my 3 brothers all became surgeons as well. After the war, I returned to Sydney on the 11th of November 1918, then left to England on the 24th of February 1919 to take responsibility of the return of injured and the ill soldiers. I then offered all of my doctors and nurses a postgraduate study in British universities and hospitals at no cost. In July 1920, I became the part-time Director General of Medical Services and was ranked Major General. I assisted in the formation of the Australian College of Surgeons. On the 7th of November, I retired from my role in the IIF Medical Services to compete for the federal seat of Killare. In January 1925, I became the Minister of Defence and Health and the Minister of Repatriation. During my time being the Minister of Health, my main focus was on cancer treatment. I was also involved in the creation of the Australian War Memorial and pushed for the formation of the new capital of Australia. Thank you, Major General House, for your service for our country. It has been a privilege to meet you and learn about your life and experiences in World War I. Thank you for the opportunity to share my story with you and your audience. Myself and all the other soldiers that have served for our country all see it nothing more than our duty and our honour. And that's all for tonight on Australia's Story. See you next time.